My name is Jonathan Cathey. I am the owner and CEO of The Loyal Subjects based here in Los Angeles, California. I was a musician, making a slug at it in Los Angeles, which was like a really fun time. It was in the early 90s, and when we do these little tours, I'd always buy these like little trinkets, And so that was about the time that Star Wars started reintroducing, the Kenner line, and it was going through Hasbro. And, as an adult, you're like, well, you know what? I never had that. I'm gonna buy that, And then being just a kid of the 80s, I was born in '74, so I'm ripe for Star Wars culture. I'm ripe for He-Man. I'm ripe for G.I. Joe. I'm ripe for Transformers. And I was always able to illustrate and design. So we would draw, sort of, our own iterations and characters. And I was sort of like more of an abstract illustrator. But I was still connected to that pop culture sort of ethos, and so I just started designing some of my own stuff, and then that's how I got into it as far as say hey, maybe I can make something on my own, because music's not working out, So I just sat there at Starbucks and had just a really dumb idea for a novelty toy line called the Mullet Heads, and I was like, what if we did like, the homies, but we put mullets on them, we call them Mullet Heads. And that's kind of how it happened. I told a couple people and we just did it.
Which one of you guys is the 1980s cassette player again?
That's Soundwave. I'm Shockwave. I converted to a deadly Cybertronian hand cannon. Major Bomber.
Music is a creative landscape, and it still is for me. So everything I do oozes music and some sort of personality. Our personality as a company, it's infused with that background, and that background being, Steve Miller Band, the Ramones, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, all these great bands I grew up with, and then also translating that into the 80s with, the great LA hardcore scene and TSOL and Black Flag and Red Cross. And there was something that was so cool about that punk rock scene, which it was just DIY. It was just, nobody was funded, nobody had chops, but they just did it. So I think that is a personality that we've taken on as well. We're really not classically trained at anything, but we have a lot of will and we have a lot of passion, and that does come from that sort of music community and that ethos. So, oddly enough, there is a rock and roll vibe to everything we do, even, on My Little Pony or How to Train Your Dragon. Our creative approach is the same each time. We don't differentiate our creative approach. It's like we have to absorb it, get into it, really sort of identify with the universe, and then put it through our filter, and that's what we do.
So what's your big idea, you sniveling simpleton?
Bro, can we go one conversation without the insults? It's actually hurtful.
Transformers has 30 plus years of history. G.I. Joe has 30 plus years of history. They fuse it first and foremost with storytelling and character. We put it through our filter and then try to create a new story that doesn't deviate from the original story, but is something that is the complement to the master IP. And I think that the idea of being a builder is where the passion is, of creating these stories through three-dimensional objects. And the collector culture that's evolved with our brand, it becomes more than just here's an object to purchase. You can go to the store and buy an object. It's more like shared experiences. It's two people I would have never met before. They're on a message board, they're on our Facebook page or on Instagram, that go to these shows, go to these conventions, and the object really brings them together. But what is cool is the friendships that they build. Maybe they start drawing, maybe they start designing, maybe they build their own toy, maybe they start building their own websites. They get motivated to create themselves. So I think the passion really comes from building and then passing that off to people that follow our brand, and then seeing the great things that they start building. We try to infuse our products and our collectibles with a certain quality amount of imagination and care and nuance and detail. And I think that's what translates to the end user. The ethos in the company is we're not motivated by money. It's like money's a byproduct. We're motivated by creating and creating worlds and being a complement to these wonderful IPs and these wonderful stories and characters, and putting that in the hands of the collector and then giving them their own experience. And I think that's our main goal.